soul. We watch it fall. Now you count all gone. Come on, set your light through. Just set your light through before we're only whispers in the wind. You can turn my world upside down or rush like I've not felt before. I can trust myself. I need you to make it turn. I know. Will follow me when the sky starts to change. Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will follow me. We won't leave it to chance. We can write our romance. We'll never be the same again. I could keep the light from turning into darkness. You'd be my escape. What have we been told? Easy to unfold. Future might seem average, but we're getting close. Will follow me when the sky starts to change. Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will follow me. We won't leave it to chance. We can write our romance. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Every time I tell myself that I'm okay, it feels like the days are getting worse. And every time I pull you back to make you stay, we lose a piece of who we are.
With anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a group of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling event of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all you nerds out there. So grab your steel chair, yell for the table, get put through an experience unlike any other. We are brought to you by Anime We Studio, and this is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully, you guys have had a lovely start to your week on this Monday evening. Sorry, no Gaelic, Scottish voice or version of the intro tonight. Didn't have the time to really work on that, but hey, that's neither here nor there. This is the Weebs of the Ring podcast where we're going to talk to you about the wrestling event of the evening and just kind of see where we're going as we head on towards WrestleMania. We got about 29 days, I think I saw. 29, 26, I think I saw on
something around there.
Yeah, it was sometime around there. Apologies. It's been a long day for me. And who am I exactly for any of you newcomers? Well, I am of course one of your co-hosts here for the Weebs of the Ring podcast. I am your world champion Watkins, here to give you everything that goes on with the Netflix going in Raw and all that. But I of course am never alone in this endeavor, for I have two lovely gentlemen with here. Vash will be joining us here later on. But of course we have to my left the genius of the mat himself, Drop This Box. Drop, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually pretty excited to talk about today's show. I actually did enjoy it when it came to things that we were wanting to see from the show for a while, and we did get some of that today, so it's going to be pretty fun to talk about that.
Yeah, because we've had some things to say about some of the builds for some of these matches going into Mania, and yeah, I kind of agreed. There were some things that definitely helped push forward a few stories going on. A couple good matches here tonight to kind of help whet our appetites with our mid card and all that. But we're gonna start off, of course, with one of our, well, probably the main event of WrestleMania. And the build going forward with that. We had John Cena here again on Monday Night Raw to kind of help push his story along with Cody and all that. You know, we're here in Scotland. We got to keep building from our Brussels almost 30-minute promo we had last week with it. Yeah, John Cena, he started us he started our night off by, making sure I can't speak a lick of English tonight. But yeah, he basically comes out to kind of chastise the crowd again, basically saying how his heel work is going to be a little too easy again, because like the most we can do as fans is just cuss at him and drop F-bombs and all that and make fun of a poor kid and meme the hell out of him. But yeah, a lot of this had to deal with like it was a lot of the same stuff he was saying from last week, but he added in just a little bit more to his overall goal this year. He's planning on ruining wrestling for all of us, and I kind of like his wording here because it's kind of one of the criticisms a lot of people have had for him over the years, how like, oh, he's very corporate and just John Cena existing is ruining wrestling and all that, or excuse me, it's turning wrestling into sports entertainment and all that. And he's gonna be possibly doing the same thing that he did when he first won the title. He might bring back the spinner belt because he did reference it, and yeah, I think this promo it was all right from him. Again, it was kind of just a piggyback from last week, but again, just adding this whole idea of him just ruining wrestling for everybody. I kind of like that spin a little bit for his character and for everything going forward, and he's going to make us all remember him by making us forget Ric Flair with his 16 world title win. So kind of want to start with this part of the promo. I mean, this is basically the meat and potatoes of it before Cody comes back out. But what do you think of Cena's words here, kind of, again, piggybacking off of Brussels last week?
So my overall thoughts on this promo itself, I do like how we're getting this version of Cena, because this was the Cena I was waiting to see come out. And, you know, obviously, like, over time, we're going to see more of this version of Cena break out. This is just the beginning stages, because last week we were pretty much just getting the whole idea behind, okay, what is his goal when it comes to, you know, how he feels towards the fans and everything, which is what the whole premise about last week promo was. And it was the same thing with this one as well, but I kind of wanted to see like more anger towards him, like actually saying things outside of what he said last week, because I won't lie, when I first started getting into this, I was a little disappointed because I thought it was going to be like a rehash of last week, until he started diving in a little bit further and started talking about what you went over recently when he was saying how he wants to ruin wrestling. And I just want to see him angry, because I've watched other podcasts throughout the week when it comes to their thoughts on John Cena ever since he came back, when it came to JD, when it came to Solo Monster and a couple other people. And I do agree with them when they say this. It feels like what he said last week was probably things you could have gotten back in 2012, around the time when he lost to The Rock. Like, that almost makes me feel like he's been saving all of what he said last week for like a decade now, because it kind of feels like if you placed what he said last week and what he said this week and what he said tonight, it could easily fit into that whole loss that he had with The Rock to really build that heel character that was supposed to take off all those years ago. And it definitely feels like that here. But, you know, going back to what I said before, the whole anger and everything, that's what I wanted to see from John. I wanted to see more of that. And the fact that he's saying that he wants people to forget Ric Flair and remember John Cena. He wants to ruin wrestling. He wants to do things that people won't like. He wants to retire and take the belt home with them, and then they can make some other belt if they choose to do so. And I just really liked how we're stepping into something more rather than just attacking the crowd again and again and again. Obviously, we're still going to get that here and there, but just that little part right there I really did appreciate, because it made me appreciate the sort of character, I guess you could say the sort of path that he's going down now. Because obviously, like, the big question in the room, a lot of people want to know why he sold out to The Rock and why he's doing what he's doing. And we did talk about this last week on the show, that we are expecting him to say that. And then I started thinking back to what he said in last week's promo, where a lot of people were saying they want certain things for him when it comes to answers, theme music, merchandise, etc., so on. He probably knows you want those answers, but like he said last week, he's not going to give you what you want. So to me, going by his logic and going by what they're telling us on television, we'll probably get those answers whenever he's ready to let us know. And obviously we'll get it before WrestleMania, of course, but I'm definitely like not as worried about it as much if it is falling in line with the character, as long as we do get it before WrestleMania. But I really did appreciate what we did with Cena tonight, with that, you know, little sprinkle that we got with him.
Yeah, and I think one thing this promo did tonight was it kind of changes Cena's story for his retirement tour here, because like the whole time we're thinking about him coming, like before this whole heel turn started, we thought the whole story with his retirement tour was going to be, okay, Cena chasing 17 now, like he's gonna have to get 17, he's gonna have to finish off with all that. But now it seems like, because I'm fully on board with him winning at WrestleMania, because now it feels like the story is going to be, okay, who's going to beat him to, again, save wrestling, save WWE and save that WWE title from retiring with him. Because like with his anger with this was about retiring with that title. He's calling himself, and there's actually merch now apparently of John Cena being like the last real champion, which I'm not gonna lie, when he started calling himself the last real champion in WWE,
thinking of Punk, aren't you?
Thinking about.
You know what the funny thing about this is, what I realized is the fact that he said tonight that he wants to walk out with the championship and retire. That's almost like CM Punk when he won the belt at Money in the Bank all those years ago.
Yep.
And his contract was up and he just walked away from the company with that title. Obviously storyline, of course, but it's like sort of reminisce of that. And then you got the merchandise coming out, like you said, of like the last, what was it, like Real World Champion or something. That almost tells me that CM Punk has so much ammo to fire at John Cena once they get in the ring with one another, when they're cutting promos back and forth and everything. It just gives CM Punk the best ammo to fire at this guy, saying that, oh, you're trying to do the same shit I did all those years ago. You're trying to be the real world champion, everything like that. It's just giving CM Punk so much ammo to fire back at Cena, and it's hilarious. That's one of the things I noticed.
And think of how poetic it would be if it was Punk who takes that title from Cena and is the one to quote unquote save the WWE. Just imagine how poetic that is. Just again, thinking about back to 2011 Money in the Bank with that whole storyline too. But yeah, it's just interesting that how like the story with Cena's kind of changed this year to, you know, who's possibly going to take it from him. I mean, it could also be Cody. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see with that. But like, I'm glad you brought up the thing about The Rock and finding out that answer, because I mean, this is just kind of a little bit of headcanon speculation with it. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't find that out until like Cena drops that title. And the reason I say that is because it could still be that kind of move where, and I think I mentioned this either last week or the week before, where Cena's trying to like get the best out of people, and the only way that he could truly get the best out of people is if he's able to fully go out and go like again, evil Superman kind of thing, like let Superman go all out and all that. And the only way he could do that is by quote unquote selling his soul, going heel, all that stuff. And the best ways to do that is to pull that out of people, like be that villain, be that ultimate villain, be that person that's like, I'm gonna take all that history from you. And I'm fully on board with Cena winning at Mania. Does it? Will it? And I mean, the thing is too, it's not gonna suck for Cody either, because that's part of his story now too. Like, he's the one that's holding on to this banner. Imagine if he's the one to drop it to Cena. He's the one that failed the WWE now. He's the one that like put it into like this other darkness now. Like, he saved it from Roman and all that. He saved it from Kaido. But now he's got to save it from evil Superman. You know, Uzumaki Cody has to now defeat Superman. Like, how is he going to do that with this little shadow clone jutsu? No, he's not. No, he's not going to be able to do that. Like, Cody basically went full shonen protagonist tonight with all this, being like, I'm going to save the world of wrestling and all that stuff. It's like, okay, you know what? It's kind of hitting on that cheesiness, but it's the kind of cheesiness that I can kind of get behind. Yeah, exactly. Like it's not like the WrestleMania point sign thing that we got on Friday. You know, it's, honestly, this is again the shonen protagonist kind of thing. Honestly,
like when you put it that way, it almost seems like he has to be the one to save it in the end. Like, sure, you'll have his buddies like Orton trying to stop Cena, and then you'll have Punk trying to stop Cena, and Punk will probably give him the biggest fight until he reaches Cody once again, because it's almost like you're like reaching the end of a game, and then you got that boss before like the actual final boss, and you got that boss before the actual one that's like really tough to beat, and that's Punk, and then you get to and then you run back him in Cena once again. I just feel like it has to be Cody, just because of the seeds that he planted right here. Like, because me and you, we've read certain mangas before, or we read certain anime or video games in general. We have a certain part of the story where the hero falls short. Like, you look at Spider-Man, for example, all the different kinds of storylines that happened in that universe where Peter Parker falls short, and then he has to go through certain character arcs to really pave his way back to the top so he can save the world once again. And I feel like that's what it's going to be like with Cena. He's going to turn into that Super Cena once again, He's going to run through a lot of our favorite names in the company when it comes to, legends in the game, like Randy and Orton. Could possibly go through like an LA Knight or a Bron Breakker, etc. So on, people that we really love and hold close to our heart. And then he'll reach Cody again, where Cody's probably the one that, takes it away from him in the end. Like, it just feels to me, just because of the seeds that were planted, it has to be Cody. And there's also part of me as well where I feel like even if Cena does get the title at Mania, I just sort of feels like he needs to have like at least one Cena win under his belt. At the very least.
Yeah, I get that too. And then now, like, there's also the other side of the coin too, where it's like, okay, well, what if it is Punk that dethroned Cena and all that? Well, then now we can kind of tell the story, which is like, okay, well, Cody, you had your chance to be at the top. You had your chance to kind of quote unquote protect this business, but you needed me to do that. You guys needed a quote unquote part-timer to do that. You could always run that story too, or you could also run the story as well where it's like The Rock comes in and does something to kind of take that belt, and then that's how we end up getting towards Rock Cody, because that's kind of down the line as well, even if we're probably going to get Rock Roman as well.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, there's a lot of different, like and this is like a story that's going to take place throughout the year, though. Like that's why I even talked to my friends. I was like, I'm hoping, we get more out of Cena and Cody outside of Mania, because I feel like it could grow a lot bigger than just having a special match at Mania. Like, you got to do something with it, like some other time throughout the year as well. You can't just have it end there. It just seems like it's too big to just do it at Mania and that's it.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with you, too, with the whole aspect of, like, Cody should probably have a win over Cena under his belt before Cena ends up retiring. And, again, I'm still in the mindset that the reason Cena did all this is to pull out the best of people and to pull out just that ultimate form that can defeat, who can finally defeat, who can put Super Cena to rest, I mean, again, we're in shonen protagonism. We're in neck deep into like the fourth Great Ninja War, or like the 1,000-Year Blood War, or frickin' Marineford, or whatever have you. But I can throw out comparisons here and there and all that. Vash, you've joined us. How did you feel about this John Cena promo and everything going forward with it all?
Ragnarok.
I feel about this. Well, you guys spoke about it very good in the beginning about what happened with the John Cena, how he came out. Instead of, like you said back in Brussels, back about the kid, and even, with social media, and even me having him in the background for Raw show and SmackDown show this past week, showing how even back when The Miz did his thing and the little girl was a meme for all those years and still is. It just shows how John Cena knows what he's doing. He played with the crowd. He did what he did. He knew how to control the temper. And even when he spoke to the audience, like, hey, you guys are doing my job easy for him, in which he's not wrong. Like, and I love how the body language, again, it's just showing the way he comes to the arena, to the ring, and even having the towel saying the last time is now, and having in the back of his head like this is the last time you will see him walk this space. You'll see him one last time in this city, in this location. First time on TV air and last time on TV air for this location. So just seeing that, it just shows so many nuance. And when he comes and tells us that it's crazy that you call him the Superman when you give Roman the title, but like, could we call him Goldie Roger in the One Piece world, even though we don't know how? It's kind of hard.
We're mixing universes here. We're mixing.
Yeah, but it threw me off.
We're Death Battle here.
It threw me off. Exactly, Death Battle. That's what I felt, because when I heard you on my tablet while I was, in the middle of cooking or shoving it up, I'm like, all right, cool. So let me hear what the shovel. And then when I hear Walker's talk about some multiverse. They're like, all right, cool. We got One Piece here. Then we got Superman here. I'm like, all right, cool. We're not even staying in the anime universe. We're going to the comic books, going into like a different realm, a power level scaling. Okay, cool. To me, if you're gonna say Superman, I'm gonna tell it to the nerds, to the weebs out there. All-Star Superman. That's the perfect version because All-Star Superman is like the high tier high of them all. Or Earth Prime Superman because he's the most broken one of them all. If you comic book nerds know what I'm talking about, you know.
Yeah.
When it comes to Cody, I like what Job said. Job said that Cody might be the one that should take back the mantle since, you know, he should get that win over. But I like what Job said that what happened if The Rock gets into this as well, that he gets involved where next year we have the story built up where Cody versus The Rock, or we also could lead up to The Rock versus Roman, because we know, as people know, this is WrestleMania season. We're supposed to have a full year of content since this is, you know, soap opera of wrestling, live action of anime in television. Yeah. So if we're gonna lead up to the next story, where I believe Drop said it a few weeks ago when I said who will be the next one, like a question during Grappling with the Week, we said like who's the next person that could take up the mantle of John Cena if it's the next up and coming like, you know, superstar. It's definitely not Austin Theory. It's definitely not Carmelo, or like who could it be? Drop said a beautiful point saying that it has to be Cody since, you know, Cody is still the poster boy. He's still young, and he could still put in a couple of years. So for him to not go for the U.S. title yet, Cody getting back the title or leading up for The Rock now for next year, that's actually not a bad choice. Where during the promo, John Cena said that he will make it hard for all the wrestlers out there once he gets the title, where nobody will get it. Like Watkins said earlier, he will even make fun. I mean, make us forget about Ric Flair. Shocked that he didn't also commented about Ric Flair saying that he will come and stop him even through security and everything. I wish he made a comment about that. Like, yo, Ric Flair, I would love to see you go through security.
Tweet tomorrow morning by Ric Flair's.
I hope so. I hope so. Like, oh, word, John. I will go through security. I'm like, my man, my niece that's probably 15 years old that I've not seen in 8 years, she can knock you out with a quick punch. Ric Flair, you're above your age. You're not Sting. You're not Sting in no way capacity could still be moving in Sting age. Or even Cody's brother. Like, I'm not that age. So Ric Flair, tranquilo. But I agree with John Cena being the biggest type of heel or Super Cena, where no other wrestlers will try to stop him. Like, I said, we have CM Punk, Randy Orton. I would love to see him also go against other up-and-coming a few superstars like Carmelo, a few others. Probably Drew McIntyre. I know Drew and John Cena will have a beautiful match in the coming few months when the time comes. So I'm here for it. This was a good promo. Cody came out, and I like how he was like tie taking off, shirt rip off. Like, yo, I'm ready. Let's go right now. You want this belt? Come and get it. Right there in front of you. Let's go ahead. So I really like that of him that he did that as well.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad that Cena didn't even throw it. That's one thing I will say about this feud. I like how they're not getting physical.
Not yet, yeah.
I kind of hope they keep it for Mania. Like, just keep all the physicality until Mania. Because, again, you know about me with the pull apart brawls lately. Like, we're getting too many of them.
What's crazy is that in the reference of the flip, we're talking about this feud. Don't fight. But in Jey and Gunther, hey, can y'all talk? Can y'all fight? Or in the Tiffany and Charlotte, can y'all fight or talk? Can y'all choose one another? Like, it's funny how for 3 feuds that are not going too well, but the one feud that we're enjoying, it's just like, hey, the small enough tease, the small enough feud, the small enough back and forth, the acting. Like, these are two gentlemen that's been in the business for years and knows what they're doing and a good chemistry and knows how to gather the audience and the social media, the energy of the crowd. I think it's such a good cooker when it comes to Jey and Gunther or Tiffany and Charlotte. Right out like tossing there, like, what the fuck y'all doing?
Yeah, it's like I said before with what Cena said last week. There's a lot of people that want things for him, but he's not going to give things to you that you want because things are on his time. So there's people out there that want brawls. There's people out there that want him to explain why he sold his soul and why he's doing this and why he's doing that. But he's not going to give that to you until he's ready to do all of those things. So it falls in line with his character when it comes to the things that he already said to the crowd. Otherwise, he's being a hypocrite and just going against what he said the previous week. So it's nice that he's falling in line with what he said prior, so it fits with what we're currently doing with the story right now, which I do appreciate. Because I don't mind when things get physical, but there's a time for things like that. And it also makes a lot of sense when you have some story behind that physical part of like a brawl or a punch, kick, whatever the case may be. So at least you know there's some meaning behind it. And once we get to that point when it happens, we're like, okay, we're finally getting this. But I'm all right with how they're currently doing things right now, because I feel like they're doing it right, and they're also trying to tell a story. Because when you watch a movie, the first 15 to 20 minutes, you're not going to find out what the biggest plot point is. You're going to watch the whole entire movie, and you'll eventually find out once it gets to that part of the movie. A lot of people I've noticed, and I can understand to a certain degree, but a lot of people want all these answers right now. But how are you going to tune into next week if you already have that stuff thrown at you? It's not going to get answered that way in the snap of a finger. And it just goes to show when it comes to some people out there, and I'm not saying everybody, it just goes to show that in today's generation, and I have to say it like that a lot of people have short attention spans.
Oh yeah, no, we do.
That's why TikTok.
I feel like a lot of people forget. That Raw, SmackDown, the company WWE is a soap opera television that has stories intertwining week to week. Because a lot of people be, like you said, Drop. People are impatient. People want to know the story plot right away without knowing what happens 3 weeks later that could fill in the gaps of what happened today. So, like, it's very disappointing in that aspect when knowing, like, this is called build-up. Yes, could it be slow from some others? Can we get a better picture by the time WrestleMania 41 happens and we lead up to April 21st of Monday Night Raw, and then we can actually see the past 6 months? How was it worth it? And then on that week of Grappling the Week on April 25th, I believe, on that Thursday, we will give you a full, like, hey, let's, not that we had a week to settle in, let's actually see the full storylines. Was it actually a good lead up? Was it a good build up? Well, did this happen? Could have this been better? Because that's the point of week to week type of television of wrestling. This is what this is. AEW, probably different. They have their own issues, but when it comes to WWE, it has always been like this. Michael Cole has even said it at Logan Paul's show. He said it that we are a weekly wise television programming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like that's the thing that, like, I said it earlier too, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't even get an answer to why Cena joined The Rock until later this year, like even beyond WrestleMania, because like that can still be a point, like that could still be a plot point that just keeps carrying over. Like, Cena, why'd you do this? Why you're on this run? Like, why you're on this quote unquote reign of terror and all that? Well, fuck you. That's why.
Yeah, if you think about
like,
it like that,
and then
if you think about it like that too, when it comes to like certain video games we played or certain movies we watched, the villain never really tells you what they're doing. They tell you when they want to. So they're just going to continue going through with whatever plan they have orchestrated in their head. And they're not going to let you know a damn thing. And it's almost like what we saw tonight. You know, that was the point of the segment. It was done by design.
Exactly.
And if we wanted to get our whole type of village destroyed by Pain, and then find out later that he just needed Talk No Jutsu, it would have been totally different.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't get like the ending of that Pain arc without knowing all the stuff that Pain went through. You know, like whatever. That'll get into a whole other tangent of other bullshittery stories and all that, but. You know, speaking of bullshittery stories, speaking of, you know, stories that needed more to them, oh boy, did the World Heavyweight title definitely need something more. And we actually got something more tonight. Yep. We actually got just a little bit more, something that we can finally kind of talk more about other than, oh, they had fight, the end. So this is one that's kind of in two parts, but one part a little bit more than the other. So we had Jey Uso, who was going to face off against A-Town Down Under with a mystery partner, and that mystery partner ended up being Jimmy Uso. So we had the Usos taking on A-Town Down Under. The match itself, I thought, I mean, your typical tag team affair when it comes to WWE anymore, especially with their like weekly television programs. So Usos easily take care of A-Town Down Under, and Gunther comes out for just another beatdown, and you think, oh, we're getting another beatdown and all that. Except now Jimmy's going to get involved, and yeah, you know, Gunther takes out Jimmy and all that, and then Jey, he tries to go after Gunther, but he has a slip up when he goes for the spear, and he trips up. Gunther, you know, able to take advantage of it, and he gets chased off by Jimmy with a chair. So let's start with this part first, because like a lot of people, there's a huge debate on whether or not this was a botch or not. I'm of the camp that thinks that this was on purpose, especially after what we find out later on.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, you can kind of tell that Jey did this on purpose, you know. But I think the beauty of it though is the fact that there is the debate about whether or not this was on purpose or it was a botch, because that means he did his job right. Everybody out there. Yeah, go ahead, drop.
Yeah, see, so it's like this match itself, you know, I'll just keep it simple before we start diving into what we want to talk about with this segment. It was just nice to see the Usos tag together, and I'm hoping this is a thing that happens every so often, where if they're not doing things when it comes to singles action, they could team up every once in a while, because like Michael Cole said, it's been like 1.5 years since these guys teamed up, so it was just really nice to see them work in the ring. I do recognize them as one of the greatest tag teams in wrestling. They definitely earned that sort of spot of all the hard work that they've been doing over the years. So when it comes to that in itself, it was great to see them. And like you said, you know, the typical tag match that we've been seeing on a weekly basis when it comes to the regularly scheduled programming. And when it comes to that spot with Jey, you know, I'll admit at first I thought it was a slip up, but then I started analyzing a little bit. And then I looked back at the whole segment that I'll talk about in, you know, just a few seconds in the back. And then it made a lot more sense, where it's like, okay, this was a part of the plan. Because why would they make a story out of it? It doesn't make any sense. Like they have a whole story behind it in this next segment, where you have Jimmy getting involved, which I feel like is a nice touch, gives him something to do in this Mania build outside of, you know, what he's doing on SmackDown, where you have like a heart-to-heart conversation of his brother. And one of the things that you normally see out there is tough love, where somebody, you know, tells you as it is so you could learn and grow from it. And Jimmy was just being straight up honest with Jey, saying that this isn't the Jey that's going to take down Gunther, the one that constantly gets in these beat downs, the one that's slipping up, the one that's doing this or that. Like, Jimmy was being straight up and called him out on all of his bullshit. And he even mentioned stuff that we talked about on the show, where he's like, I know who the true Jey is, and I know who the Jey to beat Gunther is going to be. The right-hand man, the one that became main event Jey Uso, the one that won the Royal Rumble. And we've seen that Jey Uso before, and that Jey Uso before is great at promo work, could do a lot of amazing things, especially if you followed his journey over the years, ever since the Bloodline story became a thing. He was one of the main attractions in there outside of like Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn when that thing was going on. Like, you gave him a mic when that storyline was going on, it was golden, especially that whole segment that he had with Sami Zayn. And then just that whole storyline going on between him and Roman, which was a really big part of that story before they broke apart. So we've seen that side of Jey. We've been asking, where is that Jey? And now we're finally getting it, because Jimmy is awakening that version of him inside of him, which I really did appreciate. So having Jimmy evolved in this storyline, I felt like was a very smart decision, so we can get some sort of, you know, direction that's going down with, you know, Jey Uso and Gunther right now, which for all we know could have been done by design this entire time, which looking at it now probably makes sense given Jimmy's involvement now. And you look at that whole thing that transpired backstage, where Jimmy wants to have a match with Gunther next week. He gets in his face. Gunther says that, okay, I'll have a match with you next week as long as you don't slip up like your brother did. And then you get that really big slap towards Jimmy, and Jimmy just shut up Gunther real quick, just pretty much telling him that he doesn't play around, which we've seen Jimmy like that numerous times. Like when it comes to somebody that really tells you as it is, I mean, that's how Jimmy Uso is. He's straight up. He was straight up with his brother, and he was straight up with Gunther. So I really like this because now it gets me really curious to see, with that sort of advice that Jimmy gave him when it came to tonight's show, how is this going to evolve into what we see next week and the rest of the shows leading into WrestleMania? Now that caught my eye, and I'm very excited to see how this progresses leading up until Jay's big match against Gunther at Mania for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, and like a couple of notes I have for it right now is, one, if this was all by design, then yes, thank you. Because here's my thing with media anymore. Again, just mainly with media, I would rather be happy than right when it comes to media.
Yep.
You know, like, and this very much made me happy because I'm like, okay, good. If I was worked all these weeks for it, then fine, good, awesome, great, because then I get this moment where it's like, okay, I can see where everything's going. The puzzle pieces are lining up together, and again, you guys are bringing out emotion from me that makes me want to tune in and all that. Like, I'm not saying, oh, I'm gonna stop watching WWE and all that stuff. It's like, no, yeah, you guys are kind of pissing me off, doing a build like this, but like when it finally gets to a moment where it starts clicking and all that, then it's like, okay, yes, now it's starting to all make sense. Now I'm starting to see the bigger picture. I'm starting to see where everything might be leading towards. And I think the other thing too, and this is my other note with it, after Jimmy slapped Gunther and walked away, Gunther smiled. So this is all going according to Gunther's plan. Like, this is what Gunther wanted. He wanted to go Jimmy into getting a match with him, because I think Gunther really wants to like make an example of Jimmy now, because he's done it with like Akira Tozawa, he did it with Otis, he did it with Axiom just the other week as well. He's gonna do it now to Jimmy. He's gonna have a match with Jimmy next week, and he's gonna make a big example of him towards Jay, and a big example enough to like, I'm not gonna lie, this might take Jimmy out for a couple weeks, and I mean, he might come back at WrestleMania, maybe be in Jay's side, or like come out after Jay wins and all that. But this could be the catalyst to kind of really skyrocket Jay into like going back to that right hand man mentality, And like, we'll probably get some heated promos from Jay because of that. Maybe he'll be the one to finally go after Gunther on an attack and everything, instead of like coming out to save somebody. It's now just Jay going after Gunther now. So it'll be the turning point, if you will, for Jay's story and path towards Gunther. But yeah, I'm really happy we added Jimmy to this. It also kind of makes sense why they're not throwing Jimmy or like shoehorning him into something like the US title picture, because like we had the teases when like Nakamura was champion and he was like lurking in the back and all that, but nothing really came from that, or like nothing really on SmackDown kind of propelled Jimmy to be in this like title picture for WrestleMania. So I think it kind of makes sense now why he was here tonight and why like his own road was the way it was as well.
Plus, I'd rather him get involved in a story that's actually meaningful for him instead of just throwing him in a match just to have him on the show. Which, granted, we did talk about on the show before about Jimmy getting involved in a U.S. title match and how it would be pretty poetic if you had him and Jay closing the show, like when it comes to night one of them both celebrating having 2 titles. But I just feel like the way that they set up everything tonight when it comes to Jimmy's involvement now in this storyline to really push Jay to become who he needs to be when he's heading into this match makes a lot more sense storyline-wise. So you have Jimmy involved in something that's meaningful. Not saying the U.S. title thing, the whole idea we had before wasn't meaningful, but just given on what we got tonight, I would definitely love to see more of it.
And also to kind of think about it too, Jimmy also was the one that cost Jey the WWE title.
Yeah.
Like
twice, I believe, as well.
A few years ago.
Yeah.
What?
Whatever opportunity he got, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like, for Jimmy to be the one to kind of hype Jey up like this, to be the one to like try to pull that in, that's just really good. That's that long-term storytelling for you. That's what you guys wanted, right? The long-term storytelling. Yeah, start thinking about that too, because like those seeds were in there as well. Yeah. With Jimmy being the one to kind of, because like when you look back too on the reasons why he stopped Jey from winning. Part of it too was just like Jey wasn't ready for that kind of responsibility. Like, and like as much as that title can corrupt people, Jimmy didn't want that for Jey. And now that Jey's kind of upped his stock a little bit and kind of proven himself a little bit more than what he is, Jimmy's all like, yeah, man, you know, it's all yeet here, you know.
I remember like, him even, I remember him even saying that before, like when they initially got into their feud. How he stopped Jey from getting where he wanted to go before because he thought he wasn't really ready for it, and now looking at where he is now in his mind, he's like, okay, now he's ready to be here. And even if you look at the match that takes place between Gunther and Jimmy next week, one of the things I was thinking about, even if Jimmy gets taken out, that might also be a way that propels us to see that version of Jey that he wanted to see tonight, because one of the things that really brings out the beast, and we've seen it in countless shows, TV shows, countless shows, movies, video games, etc., is when you take out somebody that you love that's really close to you, that awakens the beast. And we haven't really had Gunther do anything like that. Like, we haven't seen any Rikishi involvement. Like, hypothetically, if you had Rikishi on the show, Rikishi gave him the okay to beat on his dad, you're going to see Jey flip the fucking switch and he's going to beat your fucking ass. Yeah. And especially if something happened to his brother, like he gets fucking mauled or something like that. Not saying that it's going to be a squash next week, but it's like he gets fucking mauled after the match or whatever and gets taken out. You know, that's really going to spark a fire in Jey where we're going to see the right-hand man. We're going to see main event Jey Uso. We're going to see the winner of the Royal Rumble. That's what you need to do sometimes.
Because we've seen how much Jimmy means to Jey. I mean, again, long-term storytelling. Go all the way back to 2020 when he faced Roman in that I Quit Hell in a Cell match. Why did Jey lose that? Because Jimmy was getting his ass kicked by Roman.
Yep.
Like, we know how much his brother means to him, how much just family even means to him. I mean, he fucking went back to Roman. Yeah, he went, but see, that's the thing. It's not only just his kryptonite; it's his strength. It's his biggest strength too. Yeah. You know, again, it's that whole shonen protagonist thing. It's like, my friend, you may see my friends as my weakness, but they're my big. It's literally the power of friendship. That's what we're about to get here. Yeah. It's the power of friendship, except you know, it's family and not friendship, just friendship and all that. Like. But yeah, I'm so happy that we got just something more to get out of with this feud. Like that, this is what I've been wanting for weeks. So I'm just happy that we're finally getting something. You know, got almost a month left, like a couple weeks left. But you know what? I'm fine with this. You know, I can work with this. I can mold something with this. I can get excited about this. You know.
Yeah, I'm just happy we can finally have a conversation like this about the Jey versus Gunther match, because this is something that we've been wanting to dive into forever. And it's not like neither of us were against Jey winning. We all wanted it. We're not against Jey winning at all. It's the fact that we wanted more substance going into it. Now that we got it, it puts a smile on our faces, and we can have a fun conversation like this, which was, you know, definitely needed.
Yeah. I can still see this opening one of the nights of Mania, though. Yeah. Like, just knowing, I mean, Cody Cena is going to be night 2 main event. Oh, yeah,
definitely.
But night 1 main event might be a certain triple threat that we'll kind of talk about later, but there's not much to really talk about with that until Friday.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vash, did you have anything you wanted to add that we haven't really mentioned? I know you're there in the ether with. I think you're hanging out with that new luchador. So,
Yes.
did you have anything to
No,
comment on
I do
with
not.
Jay that we haven't?
We all spoke about it perfectly.
Perfect. Well, we're gonna move on to our mid card stories because hey, we got to build up our mid card for WrestleMania 2, and I mean some things are building here and there and all that. Still, some things up in the air about what we're gonna be doing with certain like mid card titles and all that. But of course, first of all, we have to talk about our women's IC title. We had a championship match tonight actually with Lyra Valkyria defending against Raquel Rodriguez. Now this got set up because Raquel beat Bayley the other week for a shot at the title, and I mean this kind of ties into some Judgment Day stuff that goes on throughout the night. But we had Raquel in the back; she was kind of getting ready and all that. Now I tried to listen in on this part with like Dom and Liv talking. I'm not gonna lie, I had a hard time hearing it. It felt like they were both kind of mumbling and speaking very fast. So I had a hard time hearing it, but from what it sounded like, I got the idea that like Dom was wondering where Finn was. He was kind of worried that Finn like didn't want anything to do with them, and it seemed like Liv was cool with it because they're about to get the women's IC title within Judgment Day and all that. And Raquel's about to become a double champion. She had just Liv herself had just beaten Jade on Friday, so everything's kind of looking up. Dom still wants to recruit Penta, and I mean he's still going to try to talk to him and coerce him into that. And Carlito just has no more apples to give to Dom, but he does want to go for the IC title apparently. So yeah, I mean this backstage segment again, kind of setting up what's going to happen later on in the main event. But any notes you guys have for this backstage part?
Not really. I mean, more of my thoughts probably goes into the match itself, really.
Yeah.
I'll save that for later.
Oh yeah, of course. But yeah, into the match itself. I mean, I thought the match was fine between Lyra and Raquel. I thought Raquel did look pretty good in the match though, so there was always that. Lyra trying to constantly like do different roll-ups on Raquel, which girl, Lyra, have we not learned during your match with Nia Jax to not do that on the bigger lady? Like don't be doing that, girl. Don't be doing that. But I think one thing I do want to note about this match, why didn't y'all just put Liv on commentary for like the first part of it? Because like the commentary kept trying to talk to her, and she kept saying stuff to them that you could kind of get through the microphone. And I'm just sitting there like, what? Why didn't y'all just put her on commentary for the match? Like that would have probably added to it a little bit. But I mean, we got to have her trying to interfere and all that. But again, I don't really have much to say about the match itself. I think my thing is I want Lyra to have more of a character, rather than I'm good wrestler doing good wrestling things. Yeah. Like I want just a little bit more edge to her, I guess. I don't know. Again, the match was fine. It was good, all that. But drop I know you probably have some things to say, especially, since Lyra was involved in all this. So go ahead, talk to us. What'd you think of everything? The match, and I guess the whole beat up afterwards with Bayley coming back out.
So, I thought the match was fine, just like the notes said. Yeah. I thought the match was fine in itself. The only thing I would try to do with Lyra, which I learned when I was watching LFG, is normally you're going to have those opponents that are bigger than you. And one of the girls on there, named Danny, one of the things that she did is she went up to Taker and she asked him if she could use Hell's Gate, because when she was talking to Michelle McCool was saying how when you run across opponents that are bigger than you, you're going to have to find out a way to submit them, put them out of commission somehow, because maybe some of your regular moves, like if it's like an attitude adjustment, you know, just giving that out for example. Maybe that's something that falls in line if a certain superstar's finisher, they can't pull it off because the person's too big. So you got to figure out a way to work around it. That's why she suggested the submission. And that's why when she had her match and she applied the submission, it ended up working and it ended up playing in her favor because she was able to take out an opponent that was bigger than her. So the reason why I bring that up is I feel like Lyra, when it comes to people that are bigger than her, instead of flying on the top rope or doing these certain moves that she normally does in the ring, maybe she needs to come up with some sort of submission to take down these bigger opponents. That way things can work better in her favor, or possibly think of some move that you can get them onto the ground that you could take them out that way. I feel like that could definitely benefit her in the long run. And you could probably take out people like Raquel or Nia Jax or whoever the case may be down the road that she faces, so you could have a better chance at, you know, defeating these opponents when you have a match with them. That's one thing I'll throw out there. I think would be a really good idea for her to apply something to her arsenal. And for all we know, this could already be in her arsenal. She just hasn't shown it off yet, because I've seen her moveset outside of WWE when it comes to independent promotions. I've seen it in the NXT UK. There is certain moves she has not shown off yet, so maybe that's something we see in the future, but that's something I would definitely really like to see because I feel like it would be smart. And the other thing I will say, as I do agree with that, because I love Lyra, I think she's great, and I still stand by this and say that she definitely has a bright future, but I do know where people are coming from when people say that maybe she needs to have more character to her and everything. And to me, the way that things are looking, judging on what we saw tonight, we talked about Lyra and Becky being a thing at Mania. Doesn't look like that's going to happen this year. So maybe if Triple H decides to do something like this, maybe make Lyra a heel. Maybe you could give her some sort of like character that way. Not saying she can't do it as a face, but try to have her work a different environment, especially if the plan is her and Bayley at WrestleMania, because you can't just have two faces going at it with one another. So maybe this could play into something where it's like her and Lyra, Bayley and Lyra had this little friendship thing going, and then Lyra just turns on her, because there was a backstage segment that wasn't aired. It was part of like those things that happened during the commercial, where Lyra went up to Bayley and said that she wants another match for her. Not Bayley earning another shot at her title. She wanted another match for her. So what if that tells us in the end that maybe Lyra was a little embarrassed that she lost to Bayley at that moment? Maybe she's trying to get close to her and then catch Bayley off guard down the road, and then we could potentially see Lyra and Bayley, you know, have a match at Mania, because we don't really see anything happening with Roxanne. I don't really think it's happening anymore, because it seems like they walked away from that. That could definitely be a thing. I'm not saying it has to happen, but you never know how certain people work in a different environment, because we've seen people favor as a heel more. We've seen people favor more as a face more, or a tween, or wherever the case might be. So maybe that's a certain direction they can possibly follow, or she thinks of some gimmick that could, you know, help her do something outside of the box that she normally does. Not saying just turn them heel always has to be the trick to really get them in the groove, but something that will help her, because I see a lot of potential in this girl. I could see her going places, and I don't want it to be one of those things where it's like she had it, but Triple H and creative never capitalized on it. So maybe that's the sort of direction that they go down, because I feel like, just judging on what we're seeing right here, Lyra and Bayley could potentially be the match at Mania. Like, Lyra and Becky's not happening, and I don't think Bayley and Roxanne is happening anymore. So that's definitely a possibility, because I feel like whatever we find out that's going on with Liv and Raquel more than likely involves those tag titles outside of like, let's have the two of them go up against us for our women's tag team championships, when you could defend your own title at Mania. So that's an idea, and that's I'm throwing out there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like with Lyra, again, she just needs spite. Like, it's not that she needs to turn heel or anything. Like,
Yeah.
if what you said about like the backstage segment, so correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
So Lyra went up to Bailey and
Yeah.
said, "I want to fight you again."
Yes.
Okay, so non-title. So you could always do a thing where it's like, they have that match. Lyra actually loses again, and then again, like I'm also one of those people that I don't really like the champions losing non-title matches like that.
No.
But you could spin this at least in a way to kind of help change Lyra a bit. Maybe like give her that more of a bite, like again, like not turning heel exactly, but now that Bailey has beaten her twice, now that she has a stake in getting that title, now Lyra's got to like kind of kick it into another gear and be like, okay, you know what? Enough of the tomfoolery, enough of the smiles and giggles and all that. I'm done with this. I need to prove myself. Like I keep losing as a champion against this one person, against one of the 4 horsewomen and all that. I can't be doing that. Like they're getting up there where it's like they need to start losing and putting people over. And now that's just backstage talk and all that. Not saying Bailey doesn't do that. She's one of the most selfless ones out there. But at least with Lyra's case, it's like, okay, I kind of need to prove something now. Like, I need to prove that I'm not just some paper champion. I need to prove that I can actually, like, win a big match. Like, yeah, I've been beating people like Raquel and Dakota and Ivy Nile. Great, cool, neat, awesome. But somebody like Bailey, I can't topple, and I'm supposed to be holding on to this championship? I'm supposed to be, like, this figurehead of this division? And I can't even do that? Like, something's got to give with that, and it could be the moveset thing too. Like we had just seen on Friday with Zelina's Vegas match against Piper Niven. I mean, she pulled out some stuff that we don't normally see, like that one like armbar submission she was doing.
Yeah,
like Lyra can pull something like that.
Yeah.
She could maybe come up with like a strike thing. Like I don't know how you guys feel about like striking finishers or signature moves or anything, but like things like the Superman punch, for example. I mean that's something that could be something to deal with people bigger than her and all that. Like just change something up. Get something a little bit more rather than I'm smiling babyface who's really good at wrestling. Tee hee hee.
Yeah, based on what I've seen from her, like the independent scene, she had a very aggressive style when she was playing a heel character, which is why I brought the whole idea up, where she did, like you said, she did the arm bar, she did stuff to really, like aim at a certain body part of her opponent to really weaken it, so that would work in her favor to either have them submit or not being able to pull off a certain move that they're able to do if it's like a finisher or one of their signature moves to really set up something else. So if she like goes down that route, just pulls a couple things in there to really show us a different side of her or whatever, to really just have like that little change in her, then it could work.
Yeah, good. But Vash, do you have any notes about Lyra Valkyria's title defense against Raquel, and I guess where she might be going for WrestleMania, or like anything that she could add to kind of give her some sort of character?
What the fuck you doing, Triple H? You're slacking on this mid-carder champions. That's all I'm gonna keep it simple. Lyra, she was great in NXT. She was a great NXT Women's Champion. We had a great match with her and Becky. I know a lot of the NXT superstars are up and coming. A big thank you to Drop, because he put me on the NXT 2 years ago. And just to see my superstars like Tiffany, botching scripts or lines be repeated because they're shot on shots. But then we got Lyra doing what she does. It's like, I'm not a fan. This is very disappointing.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah. Sorry.
What?
Yeah. There we go. Here, speak real quick.
Hi, I'm speaking. What's going on? What's up?
Oh, you had a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
Probably because when I move my headphone right here, my headphone get heard with the audio. But that's a quick reminder to audience. My feedback, yes. Other than that, when it comes to outside of her repeating that, is the Icy Woman. Why? Lyra. is I do agree with the guys talking about Bailey, but she's Lyra going up to Bailey asking for another title match or asking for another match because she lost. You shouldn't blame yourself, but I guess this is their workaround. Blaming the booking, not blaming the story. So that's their workaround of trying to blame like, hey, I lost to you. You got to Elimination Chamber. I couldn't go. Let's do something about this. I want to rectify. I'm the champion. I shouldn't lose. If you want to rectify that as a booking story, yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah, that's what they did in the backstage segment. Exactly.
Yeah,
what
so
you said.
I'm okay with that. Just like they did the same thing with the story about Jey Uso botching from last week to this week. Whatever the audience would say. To turn that into a story, the same thing like this with Lyra. I'm okay with this. Raquel held her own in this. She did good from what I could tell, but I don't know what they're gonna do with the tag team title since we haven't seen anything also with Alexa or what's the other chick from the White Six? Nikki, thank you. Yeah, Nikki Cross. I wonder when is that gonna because Michael Cole said it a couple of times. We have 26 days to do something. In Triple H, you have technically by Friday, you have 21 days to do something, aka 3 weeks to do something and set up something. So you have 3 episodes of SmackDown and 2 episodes of Raw to set up something by the time this Friday hits. So good luck to you. May your odds forever be in your favor because right now it's not looking pretty with the mid-card titles where you introduce them. Hopefully after WrestleMania season, you're not probably handcuffed in the booking or from TKO or Netflix, whatever it may be when it comes to talent. Hopefully once WrestleMania season ends, everything gets reset and much cleaner. That's my hope for these mid-card titles as Chelsea Green and Lyra Valkyria being our inaugural title holders.
Look, Chelsea Green's fine, shout out, pledge my allegiance and all that stuff. That picture's going all right. But yeah, so continuing on with this whole mid-card title debacle and all that, we had another title defense tonight of the Intercontinental variety. Bron Breakker took on Penta. Now, this match also comes with 2 parts. We had Penta getting ready in the back. Dom comes up and tries to kind of whisper sweet nothings into his ear, being like, hey, look, you could be IC champion tonight if you join the Judgment Day. We'll help you and all that. And even Kathy, I believe it's Kathy Kelly, met up with Braun in the back, and she asked him, hey, are you concerned about Judgment Day possibly getting involved? And he doesn't really care. He's just going to hit his catchphrase and beat some ass tonight. And the match itself, I thought was pretty good. Both men were they were pretty much even throughout the night. And you could tell, though, like it was one of those instances where you could tell they were kind of holding back a little bit.
That shit was getting me tired. That shit was getting me tired. They was holding it's so obvious. It gets me mad as a viewer, as a fan. Like, can you speed up? What the fuck's going on here?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of fine considering how this match ended in a DQ because of Dom and Carlito. And then, hey, Finn's actually here. Comes out with a steel chair to hit Bron Breakker, and he doesn't hit Penta yet. Instead, he gives the chair to Dom, and Dom tries to use this as a bargaining chip to Penta. Be like, hey, Penta, here you go. Hit Bron with the chair. Join us. And together, you can become the IC champion as father and son. It's just like, what are you talking about, Dom? Cero Miedo kicks the chair in Dom's face.
Miedo. Like, hey, I'm part of your religion. Cero Miedo. It didn't work.
Yeah. And then Finn just attacks both Penta and Braun with the chair, takes them both out, and basically gives the whole, yeah, I told you so, Dom. Stop trying to be the leader. You're not the leader, buddy. You can't do this on your own. If you want to win, you got to listen to Finn. That whole spiel. So, yeah, again, I thought the match was pretty good. Again, with them holding back and all that. But what do you guys feel about this? Because, like, at first, I thought this week, after how last week ended with, Dom inadvertently costing Finn the match, I thought Finn would be a little more angry at Dom, and I thought we'd actually kind of start building towards Finn leaving the Judgment Day, which
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping happens soon. I'm kind of tired of Finn with the Judgment Day. I think he can do a lot better without them. But yeah, I guess what do you guys think of just this little wrinkle in it? I mean, it looks like they're on the same page, but I also don't think they are yet.
No, I don't think they are either. And I don't know if you saw the rumor that was circling around earlier when it came to that report I put on our chat earlier. Apparently, the plan for the IC title, it's a multi-man match with Bron, Penta, Finn, and Dom. So it's not two separate matches like we speculated originally, being Finn and Dom. They're going to be inserted into this fatal four-way match for the IC title. And I feel like I know how things are going to be playing out with this. So for one, obviously Penta's going to want another shot at the IC title because he never really had the opportunity to really have his moment here. And if you were any normal person, you would want another shot at the title without any stupid shenanigans playing out, because if you're on a quest where you want gold, you want that gold in your possession. So if you're in a scenario like Penta, you're going to want another crack at that title, which makes perfect sense. And obviously Bron Breakker is going to want to vent out frustration because of what Finn and Dom did. And I feel like as we move towards WrestleMania, you're going to see more wrinkles between Finn and Dom, which is why this match ends up taking place. And the way I could see it personally playing out is I feel like Finn and Dom are going to cancel each other out in this match at Mania, and then that's going to lead to a one-on-one match between them at Backlash. Kind of fits in the name Backlash, like backlash of what happened at Mania leads to this. So I expect them to have a one-on-one match at Backlash, and that's probably where Finn wins. And then maybe that's when that rumor finally happens where he starts going on his own path. Like, I feel like he'll be out of Judgment Day once we get at Mania, especially if he's in a match like this. And then he'll have that one last thing with Dom at WrestleMania. I mean, at the Backlash. And then after that, he's just doing his own thing the entire time. And I feel like around that time, he'll probably be a babyface, I would imagine. And I feel like... Yeah, I would hope so. And then I feel like this is also a way to protect Bron, where he might not have to take the pin in this match. So maybe it's Finn or Dom taking a pin in this match. And I can honestly see Penta walking out with the IC title, if I'm being perfectly honest. I could see him work, because that way you would have Penta with the IC title. Bron, you don't have to worry about him getting pinned, which you know they do this sort of things with certain people that they're trying to protect. And that way, once he's done with the IC title, maybe he wants another crack at Penta, or maybe he just wants to move on to greater things, which we know later down the road, Bron Breakker is going to start going down that path for the World Heavyweight Championship, which we all imagine he's probably going to be going down that route sometime this year, or whenever he loses that IC title. That's pretty much a given. You got to run with the IC title for a bit, you drop it, you move on to the main event scene. So I feel like that's how it's going to be playing out here. But all in all, I mean, within this match itself, I thought it was great when it comes to the in-ring chemistry between these two guys. They seem to know each other very well, and you could tell that they were putting on a great match. Like, if Finn and Dom didn't get involved, regardless if Penta won or Bron won, and then Penta walked out as a new champion, this would probably be one of these matches that you could talk about throughout the year when it comes to how these guys know each other so well in the ring, great chemistry in there, and just putting on a show. At least being one of those memorable matches you could talk about out of a Monday Night Raw. And Penta so far, based on what we've seen from the guy and based on the reception that he's getting, I mean, he's been giving us a lot of good matches ever since he came into the WWE. He had a great presentation with Chad Gable. He had some good matches with Pete Dunne and Ludwig Kaiser. He had a good little triple threat match with them until, Kaiser took the pinfall and all that. And I just feel like it's maybe around the time where they want to reward the guy. And I feel like Rey Fenix is going to go down a similar direction on the SmackDown side of things before they put them together, which I kind of like that, because at first when I was thinking about it, I was like, they could just put Rey Fenix with Penta and then have that rub off of him, but I kind of like the whole idea of Phoenix gaining that momentum on his own and then putting them together and just creating that sort of aura surrounding the both of them. I feel like would hit harder. But like, that's basically like all my thoughts summed up when it comes to the match itself, what played out here between Dom and Finn, where it could escalate and everything, and what I could potentially see happening at Mania. But that was the report that was said by Fightful today when it comes to the IC title picture, which again, another multi-man, but at the same time, I actually like when you intertwine two stories in one, so I'm not really against it.
And like, I you might not like this either, because I'm starting to see some similarities between the two shows when it comes to the mid-card titles. Because when we look at SmackDown, we're kind of having the same thing going on, where it's like the mid-card champion has like another defender, but there's also this one group who's on the verge of breaking up. They have two contenders as well, possibly, maybe, perhaps.
Jacob and Solo?
Jacob, Solo, Braun, and LA Knight.
No, trust me, I get what you mean when it comes to a lot of multi-man, because I was the person on here that came up with Multi-Man Mania, and I used to shit on it the entire podcast, saying how much I don't like it. The only reason why I don't mind it with this specific set of people is because it cancels each other. They cancel each other out, and they conclude their stories at Mania, so they can go down their separate paths. So that way, we hit two birds with one stone. We get rid of the whole Judgment Day thing. You can do one more thing at Mania, possibly, if it goes either Dom gets fucked over, Finn gets fucked over. You run it back at that Backlash, and then you have them go off and do their own things. Because
another thing to go ahead.
And then another thing, you got Penta, IC champion, whole new road path, and then Bron Breakker rising up in the ranks and becoming main in the main event. Like when it comes to SmackDown side of things, with the US title, you can't really say that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, it's because exactly. And like he would be the only one that I could see like walking out of there with that title. But like the reason I brought up the similarities is because like in the past couple years, or at least especially last year with Mania, we've had these instances where it's like, all right, let's have this tag team showcase with all of our men's tag teams
WrestleMania
on
39.
one night. It's and then the other night was like the women's one. And then last year we kind of had something very similar where it's like, okay, let's have this one faction in the LWO taking on Legado del Fantasma. And then the next night we'll have Bobby Lashley's group taking on the Final Testament. Where it's like, okay, you have like our one faction warfare from one show, the other faction warfare in the other show, kind of thing. So it's just like this year, it's possibly, all right, here's our fatal 4-way for the IC title. Here's our fatal 4-way for the US title. It's like, okay, yeah.
I mean, I'm more in favor of the IC title rather than the US one.
I am too.
Because like the reason why I phrased it the way I did, and the reason why I said that it makes more sense on the IC title side, is because you could easily just do Solo and Jacob itself, and then you could do something with LA Knight with like an Andrade or Carmelo or whoever else you want to throw in there. Because we don't know for certain if Jacob Fatu is going to cost Braun that match. For all we know, some other fuckhead could get himself involved and really escalate itself even further. We can't really say for certain, because remember how a lot of people were thinking that Joe Hendry was going to be Jay's partner tonight and ended up being Jimmy Uso? Yeah. A lot of people thought that, and given there was evidence, because the guy's from Scotland, they like their hometown pops and everything, but then ended up being a completely different guy. So we can't say for certain that Jacob's going to run in, cost Braun, and everything along the lines of that. Because as far as we know, as of this moment, his anger is towards Solo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'd rather keep it that way. That way, give the guy a little breakout moment. He can move on from Solo. Solo could do whatever he wants next, because you got to have a little bloodline story thing going on. Because Roman's focused on Seth and Punk right now. So as long as you have things falling in line between them, and also you got to give, like, even though Tama Tonga is not going to be in like a full on match, you got to give him something to do in the meantime, especially if he's like in Jacob's corner, because he's probably seeing a lot of shit happening with Solo behind the scenes too that he's not really fond of as well. So you got to incorporate him as well with things that's currently going on. So that's why I'm hoping they just stick to that path, because I feel like that's more of something you see Jacob do after Mania at a Backlash. If LA Knight's victorious after WrestleMania, he defends his title, he walks out with it, you could easily do that at Backlash, and you could reward a Fatu there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I'm hoping it goes to.
Yeah, same.
It's just, I wouldn't be surprised, is all I'm going to say.
I wouldn't either, but...
Like, I just wouldn't. And even 2000. If they went the other route. Exactly. Yep. But apologies, Vash. I know you've been studiously listening to all of our theories and concerns going on. What do you think of this match with Penta and Bron Breakker for the IC title?
I wish it went longer.
Where do you think everything's gonna go?
Like, I wish it went longer. This Monday Night Raw episode of their main event was a good match. Oh damn. This was the dark match. The dark match after Raw. That's insane. I would love to see that. CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Rey Mysterio versus the Judgment Day. Interesting. No wonder Finn Balor.
Why didn't we see that?
Yeah, that's a dark match that I'm seeing right now is the Judgment Day, Carlitos, Dominic, and Finn Balor. But could this happen after? So it makes sense. So the Bron Breakker match was 11 minutes, a DQ by Penta, because Dominic involved himself. You guys already spoke heavily about everything that involved it. But for me, the match, I wish it went longer. That's honestly 11 minutes. The past couple main events before they went to the European tour, the main events were like 20, 30 minutes at least, the match and also the segment itself. But just to have Bron Breakker and Penta, their segment to be a good 15 minutes, just to be wrapped up with the last 4 minutes of Finn coming out of nowhere with a chair and being involved. And Dom, like, trying to convince somebody, like, yeah, I'm part of religion, Zero Medio. It's like, bro, you don't even preach it. Like, you're just doing it like,
you don't even go here.
Yeah, like, you don't even come to the holy church. You just do this. No, you gotta be settled. Yeah, you gotta be into it. You gotta be feeling your passion in your brain. But I love the match for what we got. I can't wait to see a second one down the line to comment towards the multi-man match between the Fatal 4-Way. It's going to be very curious to see who wins. I heard of a dark horse being Dom to win in that event. But if that's the case, that would be pretty interesting because with Dom, he's been losing his past two WrestleMania. If he actually win one, that would be pretty interesting. Even though he has a lot of heel heat right now. So I'm curious to see if they're actually going to pull the plug. If they give it to Finn, it would be curious since I like the idea that Drop brought up. Finn versus Dom at Backlash, it makes sense because I believe they also did that for a few other superstars. If they didn't have Backlash, they could have Bad Blood to continue something like that with the Judgment Day, but they don't. And hopefully we're not going to push it all the way to October just for another Bad Blood type of storyline. It would be stupid. I agree with the guys as well. Finn should be done with the Judgment Day because it's not holding any stock for him no more. He's not even there no more. My boy Carlitos is there more than Finn back a year ago. So it shows like, hey, if Finn don't even show up where Liv was this all part of the Liv plan from back 2-3 years ago to destroy the Judgment Day with Finn, but then that was weird because she kind of worked with Finn back in the day, so it doesn't even work with that long-term storytelling from the fans, so it really makes it very convoluted. I hope for the best from Bron Breakker when it comes to the IC title run. I was watching this main event and I was talking to myself, telling me like, this is actually a good run, a better run for Bron Breakker compared to his first run, even though his first run was only like a good 30, 45 days, I believe it was. This run is doing much better since he took the title back from Jey Uso. But I just hope we get something else in the future because we also don't know what's happening with Ludwig Kaiser as well. So I wonder if that's also going to be involving himself, like probably like a Fatal 5. Is he someone going to get in since he has beef with Penta? So I'm curious to see how's that going to go when it comes to WrestleMania season. But other than that, that's all I got for the 11-minute, 24-second match that I was mad about. That was too short.
Coolio. But we're going to transition now from our mid-card stories because we have another kind of world championship to talk about. We got the women's world championship to talk about, which gets more convoluted as every week goes by. But you know what? I'm mixed about our next stop with this. Yeah. So let's see what happened here. So Pearce comes out. Good old Adam Pearce, the GM of Raw. He comes out to kind of explain what will come of the women's world title match at Mania. He tried to
explain. He really did try.
He really tried, but these women, they're just so impatient. They need to know exactly what's going on. And he's trying to tell them, but they just keep interrupting him. Like, Io comes out. She wants both of them. Bianca comes out. She wants Rhea at the back of the line. Rhea comes out, and she just wants her rematch. And, she's going to get her rematch, all right. She's going to get it next week with Io for the title.
And?
With Bianca Belair as the special guest referee, which... it adds a wrinkle to it, you know, and they have their whole, oh yeah, and I mean they have their brawl afterwards. Bianca, standing tall and all that after it. How, Vash, I want to start with you with this. I mean, me and Drop have been talking back and forth nonstop all night. The chat needs to hear from you. Look, so what'd you think of this segment, and what do you think of the match next week for the world title?
One, Adam Pearce, bless your soul. I know it's a segment, I know it's acting, but for any men and gentlemen trying to say one sentence without getting cut off in the middle of your sentence, without fucking finishing your train of thought, and every single person interrupting you before even you, the person, finishing talking. I thought Adam Pearce. I'm like, let him fucking talk. Let me finish. Like, if y'all ladies can let me finish, I was gonna tell you 5 minutes ago what was gonna be happening, but no, y'all just keep interrupting me, this motherfucker. And I was like, God damn, I was laughing. It reminded me of me and my girl, me and my family. Like, let this person talk. So with that out of the way, with all the comedy bits, the convoluted shit. It's super fucking convoluted because Triple H, I don't know if you've been reaction-y, because while you're having Elimination Chamber, but then you're having a WrestleMania match to have for Io Sky and then Bianca outside, Io versus Rhea, but then 3 or 4 weeks later have another match for the rematch when you only have WrestleMania like 3 weeks, 26 days away. So like, are you really gonna make this so convoluted, so complicated to become a fucking like a triple threat? It just makes it more complicated. And also with Bianca being a special referee, like, it makes it more obvious to actually become a fucking convoluted match that is gonna feel like overcrowded, but also is gonna make Io feel like she's a back burner or like a background character, and that's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel, Drop?
So I will say this.
I was muted there.
When you,
I saw you like, okay, I'm gonna help transition. Like,
sorry. I was just like, wait, what? Oh, wait, I'm muted. Sorry. No, drop. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, so I'll say this about the match next week. I feel like it's, at least in my case, it's kind of obvious what the result of the match is going to be. So you got a rematch between Io and Rhea next week for the World Heavyweight Championship, and whoever wins that match gets Bianca at WrestleMania, and you have Bianca as the special guest referee. If history repeats itself, like we've seen with these kind of matches before, more than likely it's going to be one of those scenarios where they both get under Bianca's skin. There's not going to be any winner.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just going to go down the route that a lot of us expected it to be to begin with. So I'm not worried about Io losing the title because she's not. And I'm not worried about Rhea winning the title because she's not. It's more than likely just a wrinkle in their little beef they have going on, where it's just going to create a lot more drama, where we're going to end up getting that result that we already knew that we were going to get. So that's basically like my whole viewpoint behind it. And again, I would have to disagree with Vash when it comes to Io feeling like she's sidelined out of this, because if anything, it just tells me even more that Io kind of has a good shot at retaining her title at WrestleMania, because these two are going to be so focused. I have a feeling she will, more than the other one, and don't even get me started with that other one. But when it comes to like Io's case, you look at what's currently going on right now. Bianca and Rhea keep going at each other again and again and again and again and again. And just like how we talked about not that long ago with the whole Dom and Finn thing, once we get a little bit closer to Mania, they're going to keep going at each other again and again and again and again. And like I said before, those two are going to cancel each other out, just like how Bianca and Rhea are going to cancel each other out, where Io might see an opening there, and she might pin either Rhea or Bianca at Mania, and then Bianca might fuck up on her own behalf and ruin her whole streak just because she's so focused on wherever the fuck's going on at Rhea Ripley. And this could also just be something in the cards that kind of extends whenever we get that eventual one-on-one match between the two sometime this year or possibly next year at WrestleMania. I just feel like this is just the seeds building to that, because they obviously want to take their time with it. And it just seems to me that they just want to, they just keep, you even saw it tonight, pushing Io again. It just tells me you're so focused on, it's almost like you're so focused on this one person that you forget the other person's there. And then once your back's turned, that other person's going to get you. And they're going to take whatever is in your possession, and they're going to run off with it. So those two are going to be so focused on each other at Mania, and Io's just going to see an opening and just walk away with the title. And then maybe that's what they need, really. Maybe that's what they need. Rhea could really look back at what she's doing to help progress her character, and Bianca can do the exact same thing. So they can prepare themselves for these different kinds of obstacles that they go through, like in the near future, throughout this year, next year, etc., so on. That's how I'm personally viewing at it at the moment.
If I could add real quick, right before Watkins jump in, there's something that Io Sky tweeted saying, "I thought I already had the ticket to get there. My road to WrestleMania is very bumpy, but that is why I keep going. Just believe in myself. Always keep going. I will win this match next week to make the road clear." That's what she quote retweeted on the WWE social media, saying next week, Monday, Rhea Ripley faces Io Sky for the Women's World Championship with special guest referee Bianca Belair. How will the road to WrestleMania shape up once and for all?
Cool. Yeah. And like, I could honestly kind of piggyback off of you, Drop. Like, I could see the scenario being where Io pins Rhea.
Yeah.
And Bianca, since she wasn't the one that technically lost, like that just adds more fuel to the fire towards Rhea, where it's just like, if you didn't insert yourself into this match, A, I probably could have won the world title. B, my WrestleMania winning streak would have still been alive. C, it would have just been a one-on-one match. Like there's a lot more you could add to it with like Rhea taking the fall here too. And anything, I agree with you fully. These two are going to end up just being so focused on each other. And I mean, like you said, there's another triple threat match that's going to be just like that. I mean, we'll probably talk more about that on Friday after we get that whole contract signing of it. But yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with you where it's just like I could see next week it just being a no contest because hey, guess what? I don't know if y'all remember. I think this is November time when something very similar like this happened, where there was like I don't know, a best of 7 series that had a 7th match with a special guest referee. Winning that match would get you a U.S. title shot.
Yep.
The referee said, nah, I'm done with this. Ended up being a triple threat.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if that's ringing a bell.
Yep, I know exactly. Yeah, I know what you're referring to, and I feel like at the end of this, really, like I even look at the possible scenarios with this outcome. It's either Io retains or Bianca wins, because I don't see Rhea having any sort of scenario in this match where she walks out with the belt. It just makes no sense.
Yeah,
because she has to go through so much character development to really put her in a position where she's ready to have that title in her possession again. Because, you know, like Charlotte said to her once she came on Raw that Monday, that I will give her props for, she said that Rhea is a kid, and Rhea tried to refute it and everything. But if you look at how she's acting, Charlotte's not wrong. She's pretty much acting like a child, trying to insert herself into things that she doesn't belong to. She lost fair and square at that match. It was her fault, which she even acknowledged in that backstage segment. But then...
And then she forgot.
Completely forgot about it. And then we're seeing everything transpire every single week. So that's why I said, you know, Rhea more than likely will get pinned. Either it's by Io or Bianca, where either you got a new champion with Bianca or you got Io walking out with the title. It's either those two, and I'll probably sit down and think about it once we get closer to Mania, so I can come up with my final decision. But I'm very confident when I say this that Rhea is not walking out of Mania with the title.
No, not at all. Not
I agree.
at all.
Not happening.
And...
She won't. Either like you said perfectly. We have Io winning or Bianca. Those are the 2 winners out of the 3. But I know we'll have a much better conversation once we get to the weekend of WrestleMania that week. Damn, so much Weebs of the Ring content coming out in April. Woo!
Yeah. Stay tuned for all that, ladies and gentlemen. But let's talk about one other story to kind of sink our teeth into before we get to a quick fire segment. But this match, we had a debut tonight, everybody. We had the debut of El Grande Americano taking on Dragon Lee tonight. We even got a special video package to kind of remind people of who El Grande Americano really is in the whole realm of wrestling. I mean, this man is a legend, and if you have never heard of this guy, just go look him up. I'm not going to tell you his history. You should know his history just by being ingrained into the wrestling sphere and all that. But the man's finally come back. He's entered the big time of WWE, and the only way he was able to get this match is because Chad Gable, unfortunately, he can't do this match. He has a doctor's note. He's feeling very, very sick. I mean, if you heard him coughing up the storm in Adam Pearce's office, you'd understand fully why Chad Gable can't do this match against Dragon Lee. So he had to find a substitute. He found a substitute in a debuting El Grande Americano, and I thought this match with Dragon Lee was really good, especially the closing segments of it. Like, they started firing up, like, some of the, what was it, the one, like, running belly-to-belly suplex that Chad, not Chad, excuse me, sorry, I'm getting my luchadors. Sorry, it was supposed to be Chad Gable against Dragon Lee, but El Grande Americano, you know, I think he took some notes from Chad Gable. I think that's what it was. Because, like, El Grande, he did this, like, awesome, like, belly-to-belly suplex, like, almost a running one from Dragon Lee, where, like, he did it, and, like, Dragon Lee hit the corner and all that. Like, oh, it was so good and everything. Like, this man, El Grande Americano, he's going to be going places, I think. But he wins the match because he pulls off Dragon Lee's mask, and not, like, just pulls it a little bit to kind of like block his vision. No, he pulls it completely off. And I mean, luckily for Dragon Lee, quickly covered up his face and all that. And I mean, he loses to an ankle lock. I mean, on one hand, gotta kind of commend El Grande for that move. It's it's a dick move. It's a real dick move to do that to a luchador. But yeah, I thought the match was really good. Like these two had some really good chemistry. I mean, again, it kind of sucks we didn't get to see Chad Gable wrestle tonight, but
yeah, of course,
it's fine. Like
good thing Chad Gable doesn't have any important tattoos that we can catch that it was him. So he was lucky on that Chad, a Grande Americano, just like how I like my coffee if you go to Starbucks.
Yeah.
Because it's not. But I love Pat McAfee. He's back. Corey Graves wasn't here because that's how I knew when Pat McAfee was here. And he said, just like how I like my coffee at Starbucks. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, Grande Americano. Very on the nose in that joke. One thing I would say, for this guy, Captain Kelly, I love how she tweeted at this out and saying that you cannot spell a Grand Americano and Luchador without Chad in it. And I'm like, you're not wrong. But two, is me or this person in Grande Americano looks very much like Chad Gable with his movesets. Like, very similar.
No. That's like saying Sniper King and Usopp are the same person. Like, they're not.
Oh my god, I can't believe you used that reference. Can't believe it. No, you did not.
Is my name from Sniper Island far away.
Anyway, when it comes to the fight and the wrestling match, it was entertaining. It was one for all. I definitely forgot about the Dragon Lee Unmasked. During that segment, I was in and out. So just to know that happened, I definitely totally missed it. So if you guys saw my reaction when Waka was talking about the mask coming, I was like, oh shit, that happened. I totally missed that. Yeah. I guess good win for a Grande Americano. Good for him. I guess that helps his track record, and the mask does unbelievable things. I don't know why, but it reminds me of a segment about Jackie Chan and the Ventures, where they had like a talisman. Whenever you grab the talisman, you're able to use the power of the talisman. So for Chad Gable, he wears the mask, he becomes the luchador, he learns the secret arts of the lucha libre. So it seems very similar in the aspect is how I see it.
All right, I could see that. I mean, if it was Chad Gable, cool, neat, great.
Yeah, if it was, that's a big if.
But Drop, what do you think of the debut of El Grande Americano and his Spanish version of the Stars and Stripes Forever?
I mean, I'll say this, though. I feel like he definitely has a lot of potential when it comes to the sort of direction I can really see him taking his career. Because one of the things I really like when it comes to like a lot of the free agents we normally see get signed in WWE is whenever they come from like whenever I'm trying to let me go on okay, let me do that act I normally do.
You got that.
So I normally like when they take somebody from a different company and they actually like incorporate them and do things like a little bit interesting, because you notice when Penta came over, they were doing some good things with him. They really tried building up Jade's character. We got little vignettes of Rey Fenix coming soon. Malachi Black is coming back to WWE. So we know that they really want to establish, the future when it comes to their company. When Rey Mysterio's gone, Punk, Cody, etc. So when all these people are gone. And the fact that, this guy, just like Penta, had a really good performance tonight, it just goes to show that there's a lot of things that we could really see this guy heading into the future. I mean, for all we know, because we've been having like a lot of these multi-man matches when it comes to Mania. I mean, for all we know, just based on this guy's performance, if we see more matches with him leading up to Mania, he might potentially get added to one of these matches. And he could, he could have a breakout career and easily walk out with the title. It's not like that isn't the first time we've seen stuff like that. Like, we've seen it numerous times in WWE, where if they really want to push somebody, they really see a lot in a certain person, they definitely head down that direction. And I was actually really impressed with the way that he was wrestling Dragon Lee. And again, these are two luchadors. They obviously know their style, so they know how to mash up really well. And it was just really nice to see Dragon Lee on television as well. So knowing how Dragon Lee can take somebody like this first time in the company and bring him to a great match, regardless of the outcome, because it does suck. And I'm glad he was actually really quick to cover his face, because that's just in their heritage, where once that's the mask that heals that hides their identity. It just falls in line with what they do, which I have a lot of respect for that. And at least we know he's a heel, so I mean that's one thing. That's definitely like a heel move to pull off somebody's mask. But I'm definitely very impressed with this guy, though. I mean, he has his own music. I would probably have to say, I mean, we shit on Def Rebel a lot, but that might be one of the best tracks we've gotten in a while.
It might be. I mean,
even
again,
the vignette. The vignette was really nice as well.
It was.
The Gulf of
that's the thing.
The Gulf of America, which honestly, I've heard
way
a lot
to be with
of
the times, man.
Yeah,
it was.
We learned
I'm not shocked.
We learned about it in school. It's not like something they completely made up out of the blue. I mean, they wouldn't do something like that on purpose. So
it just,
I definitely,
it's just very on the nose.
Yeah, I just, it just falls in line with the character, and makes sense. He's called El Grande Americano. I mean, coming from the Gulf of Mexico, I mean the Gulf of America, because that's like another part of there is a Gulf of Mexico, but there's also a Gulf of America too. But it just falls in line with the character, so I'm definitely very excited to see where this guy is gonna fall into. Like, what's his first major storyline gonna be when it comes to what's really gonna like have him go from here all the way to here? Because as much as I would want to see him have a whole bunch of matches with, you know, a Dragon Lee, Rey Mysterio, I kind of want to see what he could do outside of the box that really propels his character from here all the way up to here.
Maybe he can face off against that guy named Juan Cena. That would be kind of cool if he could face off against that legend. I mean, because that's the thing. Like, I'm glad WWE they showed us just the one vignette to kind of be like, okay, you should know this legend. Why? Because you watch wrestling. And it's just like, oh wait, I do know that legend. Thank you for reminding me of him. Like, they didn't have to waste our time with all that. We should already know who El Grande Americano is.
I mean,
and he had to remind us tonight just how good he is. Yeah, and I mean, dare I say, throw him into the world title picture. Just throw him right into the main event of WrestleMania. He is ready for that. He is a legend in the making.
I don't know if like any of you guys watching right now, like, there is some matches he did have in TNA as well, when he went up against people like, you know, AJ Styles. And this was like AJ Styles when he first started. And AJ Styles was the poster boy of TNA all those years ago. I still look at him as that, to be perfectly honest. He's pretty much like what John Cena was all those years ago, but with TNA. That's pretty much how it was. A lot of people agree with that because he did a lot for that company.
Yeah.
And, you know, he had matches of AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Christian. I think he had a run-in with Hogan on there when Hogan tried to do a little something in TNA. He did have a really good match with Sting. I do remember that. He did have a good match with Sting. That's definitely, like, if you want to go look for, like, certain matches, because, I mean, I tend to do that when I want to learn about more people. I look at certain matches that people recommend.
Yeah.
And a lot of people recommend, you know, the match that he had with Sting for like the TNA World Heavyweight Championship over there. That was a really good match. And also he's done he did have a run in like New Japan. I know he had an NWA, he was there. He was in AEW for a little bit.
It was a quick stint in AEW. Like he didn't stay there too long. I mean, there was a bunch of children there, so he didn't really want to stick around too long and have to babysit and everything. And I'm glad you brought up the TNA thing too, because like it's one of the few times, especially during that time, that Hogan willingly put somebody over.
Yeah,
like one of the few times. To do. Yeah, especially during his time in TNA. You know, so I'm excited to see what El Grande Americano can do, where he goes from there. Maybe he ends up having like a tag team with Chad Gable. I don't know. They seem like acquaintances, but maybe they're not that close. Maybe they're just close enough to where it's like,
please.
We saw him get arrested the other week.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the
so
thing.
we
I mean,
know
they're
that they're
different
not
people.
the same people. Yeah.
You know,
Well, I'm
We
curious
know
to,
this.
to see what happened to the New Day. Where was the New Day at?
Trying to get a tag team shot.
I think he's just trying to move
Shot
away
at the
from the
titles.
conversation of El Grande
Yeah.
and Americano. He's too
How
focused.
dare you?
on
He is a
New Day
legend
right
of
now.
this business.
Yeah,
He is a legend of this company now. How
but
dare you?
I definitely do see a lot from him. I'm hoping they have like some solid plans for them because I do like how they take their time trying to
Oh yeah.
really work on these certain people they bring into the company so they could have some good plans for them in the future. And I mean,
Oh,
this
yeah.
guy, especially when it comes to the luchador scene, I mean, one match I know that really blew him up is when he had that match at Kenny Omega in New Japan
Oh
those
my
years
God,
ago.
yes.
I mean, you want to talk
their
about
best
something?
of their
That's
best
actually
of
the match-
20 series.
That match with Sting and then the one with Kenny Omega really put him on the map. And that's when Kenny Omega was just in New Japan. Just because that was his stick before obviously AEW became a thing. And he did a lot of things there. Even at a triple threat, it was him, Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay. That was really nice.
Oh my God. Yeah, you want to talk about breaking the internet.
Yeah.
Ooh, that destroyed the internet and made it basically rebooted the internet. Like, you can't even find the match anymore because it was that awesome, because it did that to the internet. It literally took the internet, blew it up, and then had to rebuild itself. And you try to look for it, it's just like, oh, we can't find it. Why? Well, if you try to watch it again, the internet's gonna blow up. So
the Big
sorry,
Bang.
not sorry. Exactly. It was literally a second coming of the Big Bang. But before we run this shtick into the ground and all that, we'll go ahead and move on, transition to our quick fire segments, because we'll have plenty of time to talk about El Grande Americano in his long, extensive run in WWE. Our one quick fire segment tonight is basically, and I feel bad putting this as a quick fire segment, but really there's going to be a lot more to go off of when Friday comes around. But CM Punk comes out to do a quick promo, and he's basically promoting a contract signing we're getting between him, Seth, and Roman for their match at Mania. Now, he does do a couple quips here about how he did bring them in, and he doesn't mind taking them out and all that of the company and everything. And just a couple things here and there about, like, I do like how he made one comment about still working with children. No matter where he goes, no matter how many times things change, they always stay the same and all that. I thought that was really good. And yeah, I think the writers at AEW are already working on something to kind of come back that. So we'll see what happens on Wednesday when we watch Dynamite. But yeah, I mean, again, it was just Punk coming out there, getting a big pop, and being like, "Hey, you know, tune into SmackDown to see the contract signing between us." Which I'm hoping we get some big promo work on Sunday, to kind of like really sink our teeth into and just like have a huge discussion about like what we've had with like Cody and John. Because I mean, I think one thing I kind of took away from all this is definitely going to be night one's main event. Like just the way, not Cody, just the way Punk was kind of talking about like, I am going to get what I want. Yeah. And if I have to get through two people, then so be it. But like, I think, I don't know if this is going to be the Paul Heyman favor, which I know we've talked about that on Friday, where it's just like, no. But I could see this ending up being the night one main event because of Punk's words.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's probably gonna be the outcome that we're gonna see, because we obviously know that Cena and Cody, you know, that's set in stone for night two. That's what's gonna close out that WrestleMania show. So you can't really come up with any other argument saying, "Oh, well, you could do that match another night." No, that's the match that's ending night two. But when it comes to the night one main event, if Roman isn't main eventing night two to close out the show, he's gonna close out night one, and that makes the most sense because you got three top acts in the company there, and it would be silly to really have that take place any other night. Yeah, any other part of the night, I should say. I don't think I can't see that opening, and
like that's not an opening match.
No, it's definitely something that falls into a night one main event. But like the thing that I'm really interested in the most is outside of the match being a triple threat, I'm kind of hoping there's more to this. Like there's something that's thrown in there, and I'm hoping, and I don't think it's Punk being added to a match because they already confirmed the match. So it's like, what exactly is the favor? Because I feel like that's what really would make this match interesting, is once we know what that favor is. Like, so I'm hoping there's more to this match than just bragging rights of Roman wins, he brags, Punk wins, he brags, or Seth wins, he brags. Like, I'm hoping there's some sort of stipulation or just something on the line, not stipulation, but just like something on the line that revolves around Punk's favor that gets this interesting. And I think it has to revolve around Paul Heyman. But
I was going to say it's going to turn into a ladder match for the custody of Paul Heyman.
There's also
I don't know if you guys saw the theory. I'm sure you guys did as well as I did. There was a theory that what happens if the end of WrestleMania is Paul Heyman and Seth are working together. I saw a theory of where Paul was clapping hands with Seth in a cage. I think probably a couple years ago. This was a picture from. So a lot of people saying like, what happened is not really seeing Punk. What happened is not Roman. But it's Seth that's been working with Paul Heyman all along, or that they work together or something, probably something been seen. I don't mind it. I don't knock it. That it's like a dark horse type of what if moment. But with this promo, this segment, I love how last week it was Seth that came out and said, yeah, I'm here to hype up our promo for next week Friday show. But hey, we have we have CM Punk and Roman that are going to be face to face. I'll be there next week on that Friday show. I'll see you guys there. And now we have CM Punk coming out here. It's like, yeah. So we have a contract signing on SmackDown show. I came here to promote this for Friday show because we have Seth and Roman over there. And I'm like, okay, so we have a flip flop. I will laugh if Roman comes next week on Monday's show and he promotes something that's gonna happen on Friday's show with Seth and CM Punk, and Roman needs to be there. Because if they do that, it's like a little flip and flop. I can see that happening. When it comes to this main eventing night one, to what the guy said, hell yeah, I see it happening. We get both the checklist of Roman being involved and Seth and CM Punk in a main event story, but also closing off the main event of night one of WrestleMania. So I feel like that closes off the bucket list for CM Punk. Who will win? It depends once we get closer, so I can't really say it top of my head. Yeah. I could say right now Roman, I could say Seth, I could say CM. All of them have great opportunities and great reasoning, but I like what Drop just said before we transition. It was that Paul Heyman could be the prize winner, because like we left off from our Friday show, CM Punk teased like, hey, thank you for putting him on a silver platter and I appreciate you for the favor, but never continue off talking about that. So we still have more to lead off to for this coming Friday, and it's contract signing since it seems official, unless a fourth person comes out of nowhere and just wants to sign their name on the contract too. You never know.
I don't see that. And like what I meant with the whole Paul Heyman thing, it's more in line with Punk, because that's the sort of narrative they've been really pushing. But I mean, like going along with you said, the whole Seth thing. I mean, we've seen Seth in this position before with Triple H and Randy and all of them, and I don't really think we're gonna really venture down that route again. Because why does Seth need somebody by him? He's already an established guy. They're all established guys. If Paul Heyman decided to walk away, all three of them would be fine. Roman was the one that really needed him to really kickstart this whole thing of being the tribal chief. Now that he's established and he has that connection with the fan base now, he doesn't really need him. So I just feel like it needs to be something that's... I mean, I would honestly prefer it to be something that we're not really thinking of. That way it would make it more interesting when it comes to whatever's revolving around this match.
Yeah,
I just really want to know what it is. Like, I feel like it has to do with Heyman, but at the same time, like maybe it's something completely different. But I just obviously it's something that really benefits Punk, so you got to throw him in that equation. It's not going to be something that benefits Roman or Seth. It's something that benefits him personally.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, when Friday comes around, we get this contract signing. We'll probably have a little bit more to kind of talk about, dissect, and just, process and all that after we hear. Again, hopefully we get a lot of promo work from these three on Friday for the contract signing. That's something that people that really want this for the feud, and it would be a good follow-up to what we had on Friday, after we had the beatdown. Then, like, okay, now let's kind of talk a little bit, let's shoot our shit and all that to our faces and everything. But that'll be Friday and all that. But that was actually tonight. That was Monday Night Raw. I mean, I thought this was a much better show than it has been in like the past couple weeks. I would agree to that. The flow of the show felt a lot better. Pacing wise, felt really good. Some good matches happened tonight. A lot of story. Like, I mean, we were here for what, almost 2.5 hours, roughly.
We've been here talking for an hour and 54 minutes, roughly.
Yeah, so I mean, there was a lot of stuff for us to actually, talk about and dive into when it comes to Monday Night Raw and some of these stories going forward. A lot of these matches haven't been solidified yet for Mania, so we'll have to see where everything goes with all that. But Vash, what did you think of Raw tonight?
Look, when it comes to Raw, I'm kind of more looking at the finish line. Not saying I want to be at the finish line. I'm curious to see once we get there. I'm curious to see our prediction video when it comes to grappling the week before WrestleMania and the week after. Once everything has come to an end and once everything wrap up, like, how can we see the full picture? Because how sometimes when they say the phrase stand back to see the full picture, that's how I want to be right now at this moment. Because right now I'm seeing the small picture, I'm seeing all the puzzles, the pieces missing, but right now I want to see the full picture of what we're supposed to get. So that's what I'm actually looking forward for. So I want to see where, like Drop said earlier, I see the multi-man, probably the U.S. multi-man. There's other contenders. I want to see the other things cooking. The Jey and Gunther, we finally got that to cook something to some extent. But now we have a match next week for Jimmy. Are we gonna get Jimmy to actually get a pin, or are we gonna get him to get DQ? What's gonna be happening? And is Jey gonna be outside of the ring ready to look for him? Is Gunther gonna put him to sleep again? So I really can see how everything's gonna be building up. John Cena is gonna be having a part 3 next week with Cody, so I'm curious to see how's that gonna go as well. So I'm here for it. I like what we're getting so far. It's been a slow pace, but like we keep saying every week, long-term storytelling, like Triple H has been telling us since the beginning of his the beginning of his tenure of taking the chief of content full realm.
All right, well, Drop, what are your final thoughts from Raw tonight?
So when it comes to my final thoughts of the show, I would probably have to say that I appreciate we had more conversation when it came to the Jey Uso and Gunther build. That was something that we really wanted, and now that we have Jimmy involved in the story, it makes things a lot more interesting. So I am definitely very excited to see how things align with what we're going to be seeing heading into WrestleMania. I liked the little bit that we got with John and Cody tonight. Hopefully the rest of it is like the icing on the cake when it comes to John Cena's involvement next week, because if I'm not mistaken, that's the last time, unless I didn't see something with John Cena's schedule, that's the last time until Mania that we're going to see him. So hopefully we get some good things heading into that. But I liked that more serious Cena being up front with the crowd, telling them what he's going to do once he wins the title, and pretty much coming out with new merch, even though he said he didn't. And then coming out with it next week just to rub it in their faces about being the last real champion, which I know CM Punk's going to have a field day with that once they revisit that whole history lesson between the both of them. And just pretty much trying to be CM Punk 2.0 and that whole scenario right there. when it comes to the IC title picture, like I said, I'm very curious to see how that's going to develop. I'm willing to give this a chance to see where it goes. I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm going to say Penta's going to come out of Mania as a champion. I feel like he's earned it. He's based on what he's done since he's been here. I feel like he's definitely deserves a reward like that to really propel him even further. He's organically over. I mean, why wouldn't you give him something like that? Have Bron move on to the main event scene and everything. I'm sticking to my guns with that. Obviously, we'll get more into that throughout the weeks. Women's World Championship match. We talked about how everything is flowing with the whole match taking place next week. I'm sticking to my guns still. It doesn't really make any sense for Rhea to get her title back, because then we'll come on here and be like, why'd you give it to Io to begin with? Because there's literally no... It's almost
no value.
It's almost like telling us, like, right off the bat, Bianca's going to get pissed and there's not going to be any outcome in this match. I mean, why, like, you look at what's going on right now, why wouldn't she really be like, to both of them? So,
yeah, exactly. Like,
and
I don't know.
And with El Grande Americano, very impressed with his debut tonight. So hopefully we see more things with him next week. Maybe he gets another match against another superstar. Really curious to see that. And obviously Friday we'll get more answers revolving around that triple threat match with Punk, Seth, and Roman.
Awesome. Great. Well, hey, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and yes.
I was just gonna say, quick promo, quick plugs right before you transition out to the outro. Hey guys, don't forget, if you want to check more content wrestling related, go check out the WWE 2K 2025 game that we had out where Watkins plays the Bloodline Dynasty. So go check that out. It's one of our few videos that we're finally posting involving wrestling and other content other than Raw, SmackDown, AEW, and other pro wrestling promotion. If you guys want to check out more wrestling content, let us know. We would love to do more wrestling content on Twitch, and we'll always post the video right after when it comes to the gaming content on the Vault channel, or it comes to wrestling Weebs of the Ring. And also check out Gap of the Week every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. EST. There was no Monday Night Raw stream on the sidecast. We will be coming back next week, I believe, because that's when we return back to New York. No, that's London. The following week, we'll come back for me and Watkins as a tag team when it comes to the continuation of 8 p.m. EST. But next week for London, to be determined depending on Vash's schedule. So that's the quick plug I want to give it. And also go check out social media as always.
Yeah, so again, we're going to take some time to thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, why not check out all of those little ats that you see, those little names that you see, like right there in the yellow. You got at Animal We Studio, that is the parent company. We got Legendary Vash, we got Drop This Box, Watkins MW, and that's all of our social media handles on all social medias. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever the likes, whatever media you like to be social on, that's where you can check us out. Also, you could use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring to interact with us before, during, or after these shows, as feedback is always appreciated from you guys. We would love to hear from you guys by using that hashtag, so that way we can keep track of the conversation, because hey, without that feedback from you, we can not level up ourselves and make sure that we continue to make a good show for you in the future. Weebs of the Ring is presented by Anima We Studio. Thank you, as always, to our production team for all of the hard work that they put in every single day of every single week of every single month of every single year coming through with the Weebs of the Ring podcast. So thank you once again for joining us. And as always, remember, no stunt grannies or children from Brussels were harmed during the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you Thursday for Grappling with the Week.